Explanation of the Surah. Wailun lil Mutaffifin. Woe be to those who weigh and measure less. This sentence is not merely a statement of fact. Curse and censure are also concealed in it. The word tatfif refers to measuring and weighing less. الَّذِينَ إِذَا اكْتَالُوا عَلَى النَّاسِ يَسْتَوْفُونَ وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ. Who exact full measure when they take from others, and when they measure or weigh for others, give less than what is due. Mentioned here is a certain trait of people who weigh and measure less. It is evident from this mention that the objective is not merely to delineate this trait, but to bring out a certain feature. A person is very sensitive and vigilant that others should weigh and measure correctly for him, and would never like any dishonesty in this matter. However, when this very person weighs and measures less for others, he has no qualms on being dishonest. It is evident from this feature of a person that he is not devoid of the conception of justice and the fact that it must necessarily be administered. He knows full well that honesty should be observed in both cases at all costs. Moreover, he fully knows that he should not like for others what he does not like for his own self. When he becomes dishonest in such cases, then he in fact goes against his own nature, purely being overwhelmed with selfishness. This, of course, is open injustice and a very mean thing. It is evident from this discussion that the Creator has placed a barometer in a person to differentiate between oppression and justice, and He has also put in him a disliking for the former and a liking for the latter. If even after this awareness he commits oppression, it is not because he is not able to distinguish between the two, or because he is not aware whether oppression is in fact oppression. The real reason, as pointed out before, is because he is so overcome by some desire or emotion that he is unable to maintain a balance. To elaborate the point discussed in these verses, one can say that when a thief steals something from someone's house, he would never want anyone to steal from his own house. Similarly, a murderer who kills someone would never want that someone be after his own life or that of his near ones. Similarly, an adulterer who violates the honor of a lady will never be happy if someone attacks the honor of his own wife. In fact, if all these thieves, murderers, and adulterers are inquired to express their impartial opinion, they will even confess that there should be no place in the society for thieves, murderers, and adulterers, and other such criminals. Only those people should be members of a society who protect the life, wealth, and integrity of others the way they should desire the protection of their own life, wealth, and integrity. This attitude of a person and this aspect of his nature bears obvious evidence to the fact that neither does he regard good and evil to be alike, nor is he satisfied with the equal treatment of the two. His impartial verdict is that both should be dealt with in a different manner. An obvious corollary of this is that the Almighty should bring about a day in which He deals with the righteous and the wrongdoers according to their deeds. If He does not do so, it would mean that the righteous and the wrongdoers are equal in spite of the fact that this would be against the nature endowed by the Creator to human beings. Here in this verse, it is this human nature which is presented as evidence to prove the certitude of reward and punishment. By doing so, the Qur'an has actually borne witness against the rejectors of the Day of Judgment who are bent upon denying the warnings of the Qur'an regarding the Day of Judgment, even though they are not able to deny this evidence of their own nature. While explaining this verse, our exegetes have cited a narrative which says that the Ansar tribe was plagued with the evil habit of weighing and measuring dishonestly. It was this situation that occasioned the revelation of this verse. However, firstly, this surah is Meccan and not Medinan. Moreover, even if it is supposed that this bad habit was found in the Ansar, then it could only have been to the extent that it was found in the Meccans. In fact, there was a much greater chance of it being found in the Meccans because they were generally traders by profession, whereas the real profession of the Ansar was agriculture. The strongest point is that the purport of this verse is not meant to censure weighing and measuring less. It is, in fact, meant to state the fact that the person is fully capable of distinguishing justice from injustice, as indicated earlier. If he does evil, he does against the evidence borne by his nature to quench some base desire. This nature of a human being entails that a day come in which the righteous and the wicked are completely discriminated from one another. If a person denies such a day, then the only reason for this attitude is that he wants to evade facing reward and punishment, even though this is the demand of his nature. ألا يظن أولئك أنهم مبعوثون ليوم عظيم يوم يقوم الناس لرب العالمين. Do these people not think that they will be raised up one day for presence in a great day, on the day when men will rise to stand up before the Lord of the worlds? These verses express wonder at the attitude adopted by the disbelievers. Everyone should be fearful of such a day, since their own nature bears testimony to its advent. If a person does not have this fear in him, then it only means that he has turned a deaf ear to the calls of his own nature. The fact of the matter is that it will not be an ordinary day. It will be a great day, for people will rise on that day and will face the Creator of the worlds. They will be held accountable for their deeds and then rewarded or punished accordingly. The arguments concealed in the expression Rabbil Alameen about the majesty and need of such a day and the verdicts given therein have been explained at many places in this tafsir. Readers are advised to refresh them in their minds in order to appreciate the stress in these words. Kalla inna kitab al-fujjari lafi sijjeen. Certainly not. Indeed, the record of the disobedient shall be in the sijjeen. The word kalla, or certainly not, is meant to express the erroneous notion of the addressees mentioned above, and that is, having no fear of the advent of the day of accountability and reward and punishment in which the righteous will be distinguished from the wrongdoers. On the contrary, they think that no such day will come, and if ever it does, they will be blessed with more favors because of their own noble creed and their deities. These verses address them and refute their notions. They are told that they should not ruin their fate by becoming entangled in such childish views. On that day, the righteous and the wrongdoers will be as far apart from one another as the east and the west are. The record of the wrongdoers will be in the sijjeen, while that of the righteous, as referred to in the subsequent verse, will be in the illiyin. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا سِجِّينَ كِتَابٌ مَرْقُومٌ. And what have you understood what the sijjeen is? A written register. The word sijjeen in the previous verse is not in its literal meaning. It is used as a name, and therefore the Qur'an has itself explained what it refers to. Such names occur in the Qur'an at a number of places, and at all places the Qur'an has explained what they refer to. Some examples can be seen in Surah Dahr. Further ahead in this surah, the words illiyin and tasneem are also similar examples. As explained earlier, it is the connotation of these words as terms which is implied here and not their literal meaning. The sentence وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا سِجِّينَ, or and what have you understood what the sijjeen is meant to express the awe and dread found in the word sijjeen. The addressees should not regard it to be something ordinary. They should remember that he whose name or deeds are recorded in it shall be doomed. The verse Kitabun Marqum, or a written register, states that it is a written record of the sinners. The qualification that this record is preserved in writing is meant to refer to the fact that there is no possibility of any error in it, nor is there any doubt in its certainty. Thus, Sijjeen is actually the name of the register in which the record of all the deeds of the sinners is being preserved in writing. It is on the basis of this record that it will be decided on the day of judgment about the category of hell in which a person will be thrown into. The word Sijjeen is from Sijn, which means a jail. It is because of this root meaning of the word that the name of the register which records the deeds of the sinners is called Sijjeen. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ الَّذِينَ يُكَذِّبُونَ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. Devastation shall on that day be upon those who deny the day of retribution. The addressees are warned that they should not be deceived by the fact that if today no one is calling them to account, no one ever will. Once the day of reward and judgment arrives, those who rejected it will be doomed. On that day, they will see that neither were any of their words and deeds left out from their record, nor is there any way of being shielded from doom. When these sinners will see their record, they will cry out, مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرَةً وَلَا كَبِيرَةً إِلَّا أَحْصَاهَا. Or, what a strange book this is. It has not left out any small or great thing in its record. Surah number 18, verse 49. وَمَا يُكَذِّبُ بِهِ إِلَّا كُلُّ مُعْتَدٍ أَثِيمٍ. Only they deny this day who are unjust and usurp rights. In this verse, the type of people which are the most active in denying the Day of Judgment are identified. The implication of the verse is that no person can dare deny this day who has even the slightest semblance of justice and mercy in him. Every person's own nature testifies to such a day of accountability, and no external evidence is required for its proof. A person can just see its reflection in the mirror of his heart. However, people whose hearts are defiled by the rust of usurpation and transgression are unable to envision it. I have already explained the meaning of irtada and ithm at various places in this tafsir. The former refers to a person who seizes the rights of others, while the latter refers to a person who does not discharge the rights of others imposed upon him. People who become used to usurping the rights of others or do not discharge the rights of others imposed on them try to find out some way to evade reward and punishment so that their conscience is not pricked by their injustices mentioned in this verse. I have indicated earlier that a person does not evade a reality merely because he could not find an argument in its support. He actually adopts this attitude because by accepting it, his own desires and habits are adversely affected. As long as he does not want to accept a reality, he keeps on inventing excuses for himself, however lame they may be. In Surah Qiyamah, this attitude is referred to in the following words: بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. Or, in fact, man himself is a witness upon his own self, however much he may put up excuses. Surah number 75, verses 14 and 15. إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا قَالَ أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. When our verses are recited to him, he says, tales of the ancients. Here in this verse, the manners in which the disbelievers deny the Day of Judgment is highlighted. They refute this reality even though this attitude is against the cause of their conscience. They have no arguments for this denial. So, instead of responding to reasoning through reasoning, they only express stubbornness and obduracy and humiliatingly regard the verses of God recited out to them to be tales of antiquity. The word ayat refers to the arguments and reasons which the Qur'an was informing them to substantiate the Day of Judgment. These arguments are mentioned in the previous verses and also in the subsequent ones. There is also a mention of the nations which were destroyed as a result of denying the warnings of the hereafter. They would deny these warnings by just saying a single sentence, and that is, they are tales of olden times, none of them is worth paying heed to.